South Africa has been rocked by numerous reports of devastating violence against women and children. The brutal reality is that these kinds of incidents happen every single day. Well, the cases that appear in the media space are few in comparison to the cases that actually go unreported. For the most part, tragic stories of the abuse of women living in remote rural areas remains untold. Boys are still growing up with outdated behaviors and attitudes about women. And in light of the recurring femicide in the country, we will be discussing how the boy and girl child should be raised. I'm joined in studio by life coach and mentor, Dr. Mofokeng wa Makhetha, and Melissa Radebe, activist and mother raising a gender-fluid child in modern society. Well, a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Morning.
And thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
I mean, Melissa, I think I'll start with you. Very often when we speak about, romantic relationships and sex and the education for children, whether they are the boy child or the girl child, we hear about the phrase, the birds and the bees, almost like it's just a once-off conversation that needs to be had when your child hits puberty. But wouldn't you say that these conversations should be happening even when your child is a toddler, to speak to them about, genitals and my body and your body?
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think that we have taken what we have known in terms of conversations that we had with our parents and tried to really figure out, where to extend the conversation with our own children. And because we live in such a progressive world, our children are not the same as us when we were growing up. And we need to be more open and not shy away from particular conversations with our kids. It's not just about birds and the bees. It's not just about, naming, labeling genitals and saying that this is a penis and this is a vagina. I hope I can say that. But it's really about having a spiritual conversation with your children, because it extends so much more than just this physical attribute that I have. But what does it actually mean? How does it actually extend itself to me? And how does it extend itself to somebody else? How do I impart that? How do I communicate with every orifice of my body? So it's very important to not just go about the scientific, but it's really understanding for yourself, first as a parent, and also understanding what you're imparting onto your children when it comes to this kind of topic and that particular conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, in your work that you do with, the boy child and mentoring of young men, have you found that, parents have let go of their responsibility of teaching their children about, what it is, what consent means, what a relationship means, what sex would mean? Have they let it go to, I mean, maybe the schools that they go to, pop culture, even, or even their peers?
The thing is, everybody is teaching. Whether you admit it or not, aware of it or not, you are teaching. The fathers who are beating up the mummies, they are teaching. The uncles who hold the family cases and then tell these young men, listen, you are a man. The women who got weekend linyalo tell the Makotis, Nyamezela, don't ask a man where he comes from, and teaches them that the black man or the man is disabled, they cannot make decisions, they cannot take responsibilities. The other young men who go and drink with this young person that we're looking at and tell them, hey, you must beat up this woman. There's no other way for her to respect you. Everyone is teaching them. And I mean, I'm including the young women who sometimes say, Mina nyamthanda, when you want to have a zero tolerance of this nonsense that this young man is doing. So everyone is miseducating. And I think it's about time all of us club together and have a zero tolerance to these things. Please allow me to tell you this story, because we don't have enough time.
Yes,
and I think it will encapsulate what I'm talking about. I'm on set, and a young woman comes, and it's blue eyes and whatever. She's put on her mazawa to try and disguise makeup and glasses. Typical story. And I say, see, what's going on? No, the fridge, no, the doors. Excuse me, I wasn't born yesterday. What's going on? She finally tells me, no, I caught my man red-handed, and I got angry, and I beat up this woman, and I fluked my man, and he takes the makwapeni to wherever and comes back, locks the doors and beats her up. Typical of us, just like with violence and rape and all those things. No, it's a family matter.
Yeah.
Family matter, they sit down. After sitting down, the ladies take care. Oh, Melissa, what's your problem? He married you, he built you a house, children, private school. What do you want? He is a man. What do we mean by he's a man? It's the women saying that to Melissa.
Yeah.
The father-in-law goes to the Mokwenyana and says, hey, man, what's your problem? We all do it. You must learn to cover your tracks. Now, that education, that miseducation comes from both sides.
It does.
And it's the mothers who go to the police station to buy the files. It's the mothers who say, no, it's not my son. It's the mothers who pay the bail. So everyone must take responsibility for the raising of this young man.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the things is that it's very hard for parents to admit when their child has messed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we all want to see our children as, you know, the perfect person that I raised. And so, you know, when Jerry comes to me and says, but your son did this to my daughter, I'm immediately on defense. And I mean, Melissa, maybe you can speak to us about some of the challenges that you face as a single mother, you know, raising a gender fluid boy and teaching him the right from wrong.
So gender fluidity, if we were to like put it in a term, right? I'm not talking about a boy who is confused about being either a boy or a girl from the terms of, you know, boy and girl. It's a case of societal imposed connotations of what a boy is supposed to be and what a girl is supposed to be. And we're living in a time and where, you know, femininity and masculinity, we all have those two parts of us within us. And we find that people are resisting that feminine side of them within having boys, right? It's boys play with cars, boys like blue, girls play with Barbies, and girls wear pink. But without understanding that divide and showing that you have to be the certain particular person to live in this particular society, this is what you have to do. It really eradicates the true essence of what kids or who kids are. And the more we impose the conditioned things that we learned when we were kids, the conditioned societal beliefs about who they are, about who we are onto them, that's where the mismatch comes in, because it's not in alignment with who they truly are.
Yeah.
And as soon as it comes to a point where someone is, you know, objectifying my son, for instance, and saying, you can't do, you don't speak to him like this, he's a boy and he's going to be a man one day. I'm like, what type of man do you think that this boy is supposed to be?
Yeah. And I mean, Ntate Jerry, also, I mean, we're in a world where there's an immeasurable number of women who themselves have been victims of abuse and rape. And these women are also mothers.
Yeah.
And so the question is then, when you are hurt yourself, when you are uncomfortable about a topic yourself, how do you then teach it and speak about it with your child?
Well, for starters, get help for yourself, within yourself. You know, we've said in so many seminars, I was talking to Melissa before we got on air, that we often say, be careful not to pass your wounds onto innocent people whilst you're trying to punish people in your history. And so you then, as a mother, tell your son, men are trash. You don't get men's attention by fluking them. You don't do that. You find a responsible way of re-educating and teaching this young man responsibility and affirming him, so that when you say you teach him love, you teach him love, you teach him vulnerability, that you can love despite what all that men say. No, you must be a tiger, tigers don't cry. You cry when it's time to cry. And so I think those mothers must first empower themselves first. You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
To be able to have conscious children, you have to be a conscious parent. So what is it within me that I need to figure out for myself that I went through in my past before I was a mom that makes me feel or, you know, bring about the discipline factor? What is discipline? And why is that discipline for me? You know, and did it work for me? Did it not?
And I mean, we cannot deny that there's so much that still needs to be done, you know, from a government perspective to protect women and children in the country. But what do you think are some of the repercussions that we'll see if the country and its citizens don't wake up to the fact that more attention needs to be given to the boy child and the girl child in teaching them how to not only deal with the, you know, tough situations, but also deal with someone who's trying to get into my space or touch me inappropriately? How do I deal with that, even if it is a close family relative?
I'd like to encourage that those of us who are conscious, who are aware, who are sick and tired of what's going on, let us be activists in our own circles. I'm including me talking to my family, my brother family. I'm including me talking to the artistic community. I'm including me talking to other men everywhere.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, we have run out of time. I wish we had more time to